Hey, you guys. Hope you had a good day. Um, we did. We played outside most of the day with all the beautiful weather that was happening. Hope you guys got to get outside and get some vitamin D. We're going to go ahead and read chapter 2. On Monday after school, Michael carefully drove his dad's car straight to the hospital. School had been horrible. The other kids stared at Michael as if he had some rare disease, and he could hear them whispering as he walked by in the halls. His teacher treated him like he was a delinquent, like those kids who sat in the back of class throwing spitballs if they bothered to show up at all. In the halls and cafeteria, there was also the obvious absence of three familiar faces. Michael had gotten up the nerve to call and check on his friends. Sunday afternoon, Mark and Dave were expected to come home from the hospital on Monday, but Chase had suffered severe head trauma and they weren't sure if he would recover completely. And then, to top it all off, Michael had to tell his track coach that he was getting a job after school and wouldn't be able to come to practice. Coach Robinson raised an eyebrow. Son, you know the rules. No practice, no play, right? Yes, sir. And you know that if you don't play, there'll be no chance for a scholarship, right? Michael kicked a bare spot in the grass. Yes, sir, I know. It's only temporary. Well, I hope so, Coach replied and turned back to face the track. Michael was crushed. He had forgotten all about the scholarship scouts coming next week. That's just great, he said to himself. Another devastating blow to the future of Michael Holder. He blinked away a tear as he turned into the hospital parking lot. He rounded the corner of the ICU waiting room and found his mom staring blankly at a magazine. How is he? Michael said. Oh, Michael, how was school? She looked relieved to have someone to talk to. Great, Mom. How'd the surgery go? It went well. Dad's in the ICU now. He'll be there overnight, just so they can make sure he's stable before moving him to a regular room. We can see him in about 15 minutes. Okay. Michael took a deep breath and sat next to his mom. At 3:30, a nurse poked her head inside the waiting room. Holder family? Miss Holder looked up. You can see him now, the nurse announced and motioned for them to follow her. They approached a very heavy wooden door labeled Intensive Care Unit. The nurse pulled the shiny metal handle and allowed Michael and his mom to pass in front of her. He's in bed 4. She pointed to a pulled curtain in the center of the wall. Michael and his mom walked toward him as the nurse explained quietly. He has an IV, a Pleurovac, telemetry, and oxygen, so don't be alarmed at all these tubes and wires. They're just to help him get back on his feet again. A pleur what? Michael wondered. Just hearing her describe it was alarming enough. But when he pulled back the curtain, he realized that nothing could be as disturbing as what he saw. His dad, the guy who had wrestled with him, played basketball with him, and occasionally turned Michael over his knee, was laying there, helpless. His face was swollen and pale, his eyes seemed to be plastered shut, and there were tubes everywhere. Tubes up his nose, tube taped to his arm, tube running from his chest to a machine labeled Pleurovac in blue. It helps to empty the fluid from his lungs, the nurse explained, noticing Michael look in horror. Oh, look, Michael announced quickly and turned to look at his dad. His mom was holding his dad's still hand. A single tear rolled down her face. Charles, can you hear me? His dad's eyes fluttered a bit. Dee? Hi, honey, he answered in a weak voice. Michael walked closer to the bed. Dad, you okay? The man smiled weakly at his son. I'm all right, just a little tired. Michael stood there for a moment, watching his mother and father, not knowing what to say or do. It felt awful being so helpless. He couldn't take it any longer. He had to leave now. Oh, okay. I'll go and let you rest. I just wanted to say hi. Michael began to back out of the room. He looked at his mom. I'm going to look for a job. I'll be home later. His mom nodded and turned back to his dad. Michael walked quickly out the ICU. He filled his lungs with the outside air, thankful to be away from the chemical smells and electronic sounds of the hospital. He climbed into his dad's car, not really knowing where to start. He never had a real job before. He drove down Restaurant Row, as he and his friends called it, and saw hiring servers on one of the signs. Might as well try this, he thought. He turned into the parking lot and went inside. As the hostess At the hostess stand, a girl his age asked, "How many?" Michael cleared his throat. Actually, I'm here to apply for a job." "Oh, okay," she giggled. "Hang on." A few minutes later, a guy not much older than Michael emerged from the back wearing a manager name tag and carrying a clipboard. "Hi, I'm Larry. You want to apply for the server position?" Yeah. Yes, sir. I'm Michael. Michael Holder." He quickly shook Larry's hand and followed him back to the small office. "Here, fill this out." Larry handed him an application. "But to tell you the truth, we're desperate. We just need warm bodies. You're not a criminal or anything, are you?" Larry laughed. Michael stared at the application, and the same question jumped out at him from the paper. "Well, what exactly do you mean by criminal?" Larry straightened up his smile and peered across the desk at Michael. "I mean, well, you haven't been convicted of any crimes. You don't have anything on your record. You don't, do you?" You see, I had this stupid reckless endangerment charge pending, but, I'm sure after the judge hears the whole story, he'll drop everything." Michael reached to pick up the pen Larry had given him. "Sure, kid," Larry answered and stood up from the chair. "On second thought, I've got some things to take care of. Why don't you fill out that application in one of the booths and leave it with the hostess? I'll give you a call if we have anything." "Okay, thanks," Michael mumbled. He walked out of the office, dropped the clipboard with the blank application on the first booth he saw, and walked out the door. He got into the car and clenched the steering wheel. "Now what?" he asked aloud. "Now what?" A passing couple looked over at him and quickened their pace. He turned the key and spun away. As he drove, he thought about the pale, weak dad lying in the hospital and his mom holding his hand. How could I let them down? Why did I let them down? Yes, they taught me better. Of course I knew better. But I did it anyway. And now what? My dad, who has lost all faith in his son, is sick? Looks like he's dying? And the one time in his life when he needs me? Whoa! Michael swerved to miss a squirrel running across the road. "What's he going to come home to?" Michael was now yelling over the radio. Hey, Dad, your loser son just ruined his chances for a scholarship because he's got to pay for an attorney, and now he can't even pay for an attorney because he can't find a job. Why? Because he's a criminal. Oh, and welcome home, Pops." Tears began to flow down his face. The road was blurry in front of him, and he strained to see the street sign. Clark Avenue. I'm past our street. But he didn't care. What would he tell his mom if he went home now? He stomped on the gas. The gold and red leaves of the trees blurred as they passed faster and faster. Why am I here anyway? God, why? You see what I've done to my parents? They have zero trust in me now. And Coach Robinson, he's going to give up on me, and I wouldn't blame him. Michael was past the subdivision now, and the road was becoming more narrow and winding. My friends, oh yeah, put them in the hospital. Even that Larry, the restaurant manager guy, a total stranger doesn't even trust me to carry trays of food around the restaurant. What kind of future does a guy like me have? None. That's right, none. Why did all this happen to me? Michael threw his hands in the air as he approached the upcoming curve. Hey, a crash got me into this mess. Maybe a crash will get me out. When he saw the steep embankment, he grabbed the wheel again. But it was too late. Oh, God, why me? And then, nothing. Wow, that was a pretty intense chapter, wouldn't you say? So, basically now we're faced with the fact that Michael made some horrible decisions. I think he pretty much summed it up in a nutshell in the last couple of paragraphs that we read. All the things that he's feeling and all the emotions, like he's done something that he can't come back from, wondering what his place is in the world, thinking about all the things that he did to fail. And I think, ironically enough, he intended to wreck his vehicle again a second time, this time intentionally, but changed his mind at the last minute, and then it was too late. Tomorrow's going to be an intense chapter again. Chapter 3. Remember, my little sweeties who like to read ahead, don't. wait for all of us to read with you so that we can enjoy the book together. I am seriously not reading ahead of y'all, although I really want to finish the whole book tonight. So I will see you tomorrow for chapter 3. Check journal entries tomorrow, and don't forget to do your chapter questions. If any of you guys have any questions about it, just ask me in the comments or send me an email. It's fine. I will be seeing you soon. Maybe we'll open up a book discussion tomorrow. Just check the comments. Y'all have a great night. Bye, guys.